Welcome back to Science Hub. My name is Marian Banica, and today we are going to talk about sustainable and future agriculture 4.0. My guest is scientific director at the National Institute for Agriculture and Machineries Applied in Agriculture. Good to see you.
Also good to see you.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your role and what is the National Institute that you represent here?
Of course. Thank you for having me here. National Institute for Agricultural Machinery in Romania is one of the oldest institutes which deals with research for agricultural machinery and technologies destined for agriculture and food industry. Actually, we are the only national institute which deals with such research. My role in the institute is as scientific director. I'm the president of the scientific council of the institute, in which new ideas are born. Almost all of them regarding new equipment or new technologies destined for agriculture and food industry.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Matache, you are scientific director at what we will call from now in MNA, yeah? And the future about agriculture is, we all already know that it's related to artificial intelligence, to IoT, to machine learning, and so on. How do you see, or what are the some examples that you can give us related to the projects that your institute is developing right now, and are related to these trends that we face right now in agriculture?
So, as you said, the future is happening now. We at the National Research Institute for Agricultural Machinery also have some projects regarding this type of technologies that you mentioned, the artificial intelligence, IoT, and also we started not long ago to have some projects with robotics usage in agriculture. Actually, we have a lot of projects, of research projects, I would say, regarding these issues. So we had a project in which we developed, together with our partner from Politehnica University, a wireless sensor network for monitoring the microclimate condition in a greenhouse. We also had projects in which we developed agricultural machinery which are electrically driven, so they have only batteries and electrical engine. And we started this type of projects because it's easier to automate and to make autonomous an electrical vehicle for agriculture than to make this type of change on a traditional one with thermal engine. Also, we have some projects with which involves using of drones in agriculture, using of drones for mapping agricultural terrain, or using for drones to do some phytosanitary treatments in order to maintain the crops and to protect them from diseases or insects.
Mm-hmm. Talking about drones, what can you tell us about the project that involved developing, high precision agriculture by using drones?
So we had several projects regarding drones. In one of them, which was finished in 2022, I was the project director, and within that project we developed a high capacity drone for to be used for phytosanitary treatments. Mm-hmm. This was is a tricopter drone. This means it has 3 arms and the 6 electrical engines, and could fly in autonomous mode. So we could write the map where to have the treatment done, and the drone will go there and will do it automatically, this type of treatment. Also, we are using drones to map the agricultural terrain, fields, as a service for farmers. After we are mapping with the drone, we have a collection of pictures, multispectral pictures, which are then used to make the map of the terrain, and then are also used to calculate agricultural vegetation indices, which are very closely related to what the crop needs, to what type of fertilizer to use, to the humidity of the soil, and so on.
What challenges and opportunities do you see in the ongoing digital transformation journey in the agriculture, especially in the context of IoT, artificial intelligence, and robotics?
Yes, there are a lot of opportunities regarding these technologies, robotics, IoT, and artificial intelligence, but not separated, but together. Because robotics with artificial intelligence means that we could develop an equipment which will work autonomously within a greenhouse or on the field. IoT means we have a lot of sensors which are displayed all over the field, and we'll have data in real time, data which could be used for the intelligent management of the crops or of the farm. And so all of these are related. They are the trend is to be used together, and the opportunities are rising because using these technologies will only get benefit for the farmer. So the farmer will reduce cost with inputs, and also could optimize its yields, its crop yields.
Okay, the center that you represent here, it's also a center of excellence in digitalization, yeah?
In agriculture, yes.
In agriculture,
yes.
Of course.
We try to be a center of excellence in digitization in agriculture, because this is the way. Even though most of the agriculture at the world level is done in traditional way, the farmers, which are very intelligent people, saw the benefits of using digitization in agriculture. So it's very good for them to, for example, to have a map of their culture, of their crop, and to see using watching a map. Good farmer will know that in a certain area he needs more water for irrigation, for example, or in a certain area there is a problem with a bug. So these opportunities are risen because of they are needed in this industry, big industry of the world, which is agriculture.
So what specific actions you did in order to help farmers to digitize all the processes in general?
There are several directions that we worked on. First, we directed our research projects to have results with digital technologies. The second direction was to establish the first agricultural laboratory with robotics in agriculture. So first robotics agricultural laboratory in Romania, in which we are trying to develop new technologies involving artificial intelligence and robotics. And Also, we have a lot of partnership with startups from the private sector, which are also themselves, they are very interested in digitization in agriculture.
Good. So talking about startups and maybe spin-off, because all the time the things that you generate are not real startups, are spin-off. Basically, startups that are result of the innovation. Let's talk about organic farming technologies, which is something real crucial for the new trend in agriculture. Could you highlight some specific equipment developed by the institute that you represent for small to medium size areas in the context of organic farming?
Yes. We have a lot of results in this area. I could start with planting machines, which could be used for planting seedlings or for planting small plants, small vegetable plants. Also, second are harvesting machines. For example, we developed a harvesting machine for medicinal plants like lavender. Another technology that I spoke before is the drone, which could be used for organic treatments of the plants in an organic farm. So this drone could be sprayed over the plants organic fertilizers or bioinsecticides. It depends. And these are the most important ones.
Did you get any results in transferring the know-how and the results of the research to industry, to startups, and also maybe to stable companies, large companies?
Yes. To stable companies, we have a lot of results which were transferred during the years. Not so much to startups, unfortunately, in Romania, but we had a lot of projects with big companies which are, let's say, manufacturing tractors in Romania, let's say. Also,
can we have some examples of
like
names?
An example with Irum Reginesa. So we had projects on European funds in which we transferred our know-how. Also in the irrigation domain with Rolix, company with Servoplant for spraying machines. We had projects with Ruris SA, which is a company that everybody is seeing in the supermarkets for
What
plants.
about international cooperations?
In the international cooperation with companies, we are not so proficient. We are trying to find new partners from abroad. But until now, we didn't have a successful partnership with companies, but we have partnership with European research organizations.
Okay.
So,
we see an image. Can you please explain what is it and what is the project about?
Yes, here is a very interesting project which was funded on ADER program of the Ministry of Agriculture in Romania. Here we have on a track an automated equipment which is doing selective spraying of plants in a greenhouse. It's fitted with a controller and it has two sensors, proximity sensors. They are ultrasonic, and if the equipment sees a plant, it will spray it. If not, it will pass. So using this type of equipment, we'll have a precision spraying, and also we'll have economy of active substance.
Good. Let's see another project which I think is very relevant for this talk. Maybe let's talk about the electric tractor prototype that you did.
Yes. This is a project very interesting. That I love it. I was also project director of this type of tractor. It's the first one made in Romania. It's a prototype for which we have protected rights. It's an all-electric tractor with a lithium-ion battery, and it was designed for small farms and medium farms, and it has around 20 horsepower engine. And we are trying to, in the future, to develop it to be autonomous tractor.
Oh, how you are going to do this?
We are going to apply for funding in a research project. And as I told you before, because it's electrical tractor, it's easier to automate it. We'll fit the tractor with central controller with sensors, LiDAR sensor, and also with the help of artificial intelligence, we want to make it autonomous.
So basically, autonomous, it means that you don't need any person to drive this tractor, and it's going to do the same thing like we do right now with.
Yes, this is the aim of the project.
So exactly what basically Elon Musk is doing for Tesla, you are going to do for tractors, right?
We are trying to do, yes, we are trying to do this for tractors, yes.
Yeah, okay. Using the same technology, or you are going also to develop technology for autonomous, let's say, cars or tractors, or?
It will be our own technology. We don't have access to Elon Musk technology.
But why you are not using existing technologies that
we'll be using, but they will be glued together in our own original way.
Good. Can you give also other examples of projects that the institute is involved? Maybe what we saw already on the screen.
What we saw on the screen was an equipment for freezing using liquid nitrogen. It's very good for fast freezing of berries, especially which maintain all their qualities and could be used in high-end cuisine. There would be a need for something like this. What's very good about this type of freezing technology is that like if in conventional technology for freezing you have berry frozen in 2 hours or so, using this type of equipment you could freeze it in less than 5 minutes. It's very important because the berry will be as fresh as when it was harvested.
Oh, so there are a lot of projects where you develop basically also technology and also prototypes.
Yes.
But we discussed previously that these are basically models. Not all of them are real, fully functional products that to be put it on the market. Yeah. What can you tell us about putting on the market? Because it depends on the level of.
So all these models. Are part of our projects portfolio. They are the base for transfer projects, the technology transfer projects, because with our partners we are using these models in order to get funding to get them to a higher technological readiness level. They are at technological readiness level 4 or 5, and we are trying to get them on the market, so up to technological readiness level 8 or 9.
Yeah, so basically, totally different, possibilities. If you have a technological readiness much higher,
Yes.
Yeah, also the funds are much higher, and also the possibility to be seen on the market, it's much more alike.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. I mean, I see a lot of opportunities, a lot of innovation here. It's really impressive. I would like to talk with you a bit more about precision agriculture, which is a very hot topic in agriculture. What you can tell us about high precision achieved in application of non-polluting substances? Can you tell us a bit more?
Yes, if I would be to talk about results previously obtained by our institute, we had a lot of projects regarding spraying machines, which are using pesticides to protect the crops, and the aim of all these projects was to reduce the pesticides quantity sprayed on the crops, and for that we even used on one of our latest projects, which was electrically driven spraying machine. We used artificial intelligence to discriminate the plant crops through some in real-time cameras, and after identifying the plant, we were only spraying the plant, because the machine was fitted with electrically driven nozzles, which were performing spot spraying of the plant after it was seen using a neural network model, so artificial intelligence model.
So, talking about precision agriculture, how do you see the new, let's say, the new way of agricultural products from seed to fork? How do you see that is going to change this?
So, precision agriculture is happening right now, in my point of view, because in everything that is done in nowadays agriculture and in the future, we have precision involved. So if we're talking about seeds, there are now special coatings that could be applied on the seeds in order to protect them from diseases or insects, and also to fertilize them after being sowed in the soil. After the sowing process is over, we have the protection of the crop process, in which we are using precision machines to spray precise and less than in conventional agriculture. So this means we have a lot of economy regarding the cost with the phytosanitary substances, and also a very important aspect is the environmental protection, because if you are using less pesticide, we minimize the impact on the environment. And so on. After precision protection, we have precision harvesting. We have automated or semi-automated equipment which are harvesting the crops, the grains, let's say, or in-field crops, or fruits or vegetables in other areas of agriculture. Here also there are a lot of benefits, because we have less losses in grains. We'll have lower fuel consumption because of using precision technology like GPS guiding, and we don't have to pass 2 times over the same area of land, and so on.
Yeah, so how you see in the image, basically high precision, it means smart control, smart monitoring, and what else? I mean, basically, also in agriculture, like in other fields of activity, you have to monitor all the things that you are able in order to take decisions based on data, right?
Yes, yes.
What does it mean in agriculture, smart control?
Smart control could mean autonomous functioning of equipment. Like let's say we have nowadays it's happening. Farmers are using conventional tractors with autopilot on them, and they only sit in their seat and monitor the tractor, which is guided by GPS on the precise lines. So all the benefits that I spoke before are happening.
Okay, so basically smart control, it means to reduce the need of a human in order to make the process happen.
Yes, could mean intelligent algorithm used for control of equipment.
What about smart monitoring?
Smart monitoring also.
Analytics. We call it analytics in general.
Yes. Means using a lot of sensors in order to do this type of monitoring. Means using IoT. Sensors means having in real time the information available, and also if you have in real time the information available, you could do the smart control.
Basically, everything you can monitor and everything you can have it monitorized. Basically, at the end of the day, you're taking decision based on data. Is really useful. Also. Because it's very large environment that you monitor, and also because there are a lot of things that can make the process real complex, right?
Yes.
What about smart planning in agriculture? This is the third pillar.
Smart planning. Yes. This depends very much on the experience of the agronomic engineer or of the farmer. And is a trend in the agriculture today. This means also about rotation of the crops, also about changing technologies for preparing the soil, means also taking care of the soil in the future, means looking at the future.
Yeah, so basically it's not only about the present, but it's also about the future, and it's also like the project management. Yeah, you know exactly where you are and where you want to go, right?
Yes.
And this can be done very easily by using technology.
It's
and basically you can't do it without technology, right?
It's kind of tricky to do it without.
What do you see the challenges and solution in smart agriculture? Let's talk about how do you see the future from
challenges.
Now? Yeah, challenges.
Challenges. One of the biggest challenges to convince the farmers that this type of technology works. This could be a challenge because
they don't see it with live results.
Yes, they see it because there are a lot of farmers are going to agricultural fairs and they see the new technology, but mostly they see conventional technology, not like technology which is not technologically proven yet. Like if we talk about robotics, or if we talk about drones, or if we talk about IoT, it's kind of hard to convince them about the benefits of this type of technologies, even though they are very open to new technologies. But also they want to minimize the risks involving using this type of technologies.
But it's not able to just put some robots on a part of a farm and to have without robots on the other end to compare the results?
Yes. If it could be able, it could be doable if there is a agreement between the farmer and the research organization. Of course, it could be useful. But then using robots involves higher costs at the beginning than just using conventional equipment.
But what about on long term? Because I see that by using robots on short term it costs more, but on long term I think that it's much easier to deal with a robot than to deal with a human.
If we think about a parallel between other industries which are using robots at this moment, like auto industry, which are using a lot of robots, yes, you could be right. But for agriculture, it has yet to be proven. So yes, I believe that robots could do a lot of work and repetitive tasks that and will allow human operators to do some smart planning, let's say, or something else.
How the institute that you represent is collaborating with farmers or other industry stakeholders to ensure that the practical applicability of these solutions in real-world farming is working?
So,
about stakeholders.
About stakeholders, yes. We are in partnership with Romanian Academy for Agricultural Sciences, ASAS, and with this is one of the stakeholders, academic stakeholder. Also, we had projects for local action groups in which were involved farmers, and we are also by this means we are disseminating our results. And also we have a strong connection with the companies in which are manufacturing the agricultural equipment in our domain. So we have these three type of connections, and we are inviting them to our symposiums, to our conferences. We are going to their fairs, to their symposiums. We are every year we are participating in the agricultural fair, which is traditionally taking place in Fundulea, and also in Agrimalin in Arad. We are also participating. So this is those are the means that you are, the direction that you are using to stay in touch with the stakeholders.
Which from these stakeholders are the most resistant to the digital transformation? I mean, we don't.
Even though, in my opinion, I believe that the farmers, because we need to prove them that this type of technology are working. This is not like I'm saying that they are open to new technologies. Yes, they are very open to new technologies, but for this type of research project, we need to prove them that they are working.
Yeah, but some of them, they are just thinking that what we are talking here is science fiction. How do you convince that it's not science fiction?
We call them. Usually, I'm calling them to our institute, and we are making demonstrations.
And when they see the robots and all the projects that you developed, what is the first impression?
They are very. Some of them are very interested and are trying to find a way to collaborate. Some of them will. And it's a good thing that they are finding weak points of the technology. So it's a good thing for us that they are saying, this will not work in this type of terrain. Or if you're using a drone, it's not better than a big spraying machine, conventional one, which has 32 meters width of working width. And I'm just explaining them that the drone is not for replacing the bigger machine. No, the drone is for usage when the bigger machine cannot enter the field, because it was rainy, because it will damage the crop, because so those are how should I say the drones could be used when you cannot use the other.
So basically to complete what already exists,
yes. Also, when we are talking about agricultural electrical tractor, I'm trying to tell them, and that this type of electrical tractor, the current technological readiness level of batteries is not here to change the conventional bigger tractor for plowing, but could replace some works in the farm. And using this type of tractor, also the impact on the environment, the pollution, will decrease, and the emissions for greenhouse gases will decrease, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Good. So let's talk about future and future trends. What about, do you implement or do you work already with digital twins project?
Yes. You could say so. In all our projects, we are firstly developing a model, a 3D model in our software, and we are testing the model using also software instruments for all type of stresses like static stress, dynamic stress, also simulating its working process, and then we are physically fabricating the model, we are testing the model, and we have a validation between the software model and the physical one.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this is about digital twinning. How your institute is preparing for implementing new technologies and new trends that are already on the market, and maybe are going to be more visible in the next years. And what are these technologies from your perspective that you didn't start it yet to make the research, and maybe it's going to happen in the next up to 10 years?
This is a very tricky question.
Of course.
If I'm thinking about the trends, we already started to have some projects in the robotization in agriculture domain. I told you before that we only started 5 years ago with this type of projects, so we are still fresh in this domain, but we need to gather the know-how for the robotization project. Also in the domain of artificial intelligence, we also started a little bit late, but we have promising results together with our partners from universities like University Dunărea de Jos from Galați and Politehnica University from Bucharest, and some of our partners like startups like IQ Robotics, which is a startup which wants to develop robots for agriculture in Romania. And if we are talking about technologies which are already on the market and we didn't start yet to think about it, I could speak about blockchain technology that we intend to in the future, but we didn't have yet some projects.
Yeah. So okay. Basically, what we see in the image here, it's a robot that is doing almost everything. By using basic robotics. Also, of course, a lot of sensors and IoT, and also maybe for sure is able to do it. Also, is also using artificial intelligence, right?
Yes, we can see in the picture there is a fleet of robots.
Of course. So they are already collaborating,
yes,
right?
They are collaborating already. A swarm of robots.
A swarm of robots, yeah.
They are already collaborating, yes.
So at the end of the day, we are just programming, or basically, we are just drag and dropping, because most of the time these robots don't need real, real programming. They just need drag and drop and so on, and you'll get, the final food that you are going to eat, right?
Yes. This could be the future.
Or is the present?
I'm not sure that this is the present. At a lower scale, yes. At a lower scale, this is the present. But in my opinion, in the present, robots don't have enough capacity to how to say, to cover the work of human workers at this moment.
Okay, let's say not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
What about, let's say, sustainable agriculture practices? Tell us a few things about how do you see the vertical farming, which is really also very hot topic right now in smart agriculture.
Yes, vertical farming is not that new in agriculture, but has developed very fast in the last years because of its benefits, like smaller production spaces and bigger yields. We also have some projects.
This is a prototype you did, right?
Yes. More than we did at a smaller scale for urban farming. It could be a modality a way to grow vegetables within cities.
Yeah, okay, so basically we are able to do it not just outside of the city, but also inside of the city with real good results and to be feeded. So basically the road from seed to fork to be reduced quite a lot, yeah?
Yes.
What about best practices in management of the agriculture institutions in general, the smart ones? How do you see the future and the present right now?
In the present, it's they are applied, this type of good practices in management, in agriculture, because there are specific standards at the European Union level which have to be respected. So there is the Green Deal Pact, which is also adopted by our country, in which we need to reduce the gas emissions in agriculture. Also, we are talking about less inputs in pesticides. We are talking about less water usage. We are talking about protection of soil and regeneration of soil if it's possible, because there are some countries in Europe which at this moment have a lot of arable land which lacks the humus and they cannot be regenerated anymore. Here in Romania we don't have this problem, but we have a very big problem.
Can you name some countries?
In France.
In France,
In France, yes.
Okay.
Because they used a lot of pesticides without limit, and this destroyed the soil.
No, okay, good. And a last question or a last topic that we are going to discuss. Can you tell us how do you see the education in the agriculture or the smart agriculture field?
This is very, very important, education in agriculture, and this is an issue that is troubling the farmers because they have very smart equipments, very smart tractors or harvesters or spraying machines, and they don't have the people to work on them, because in order to be able to use such an equipment, you need to have some digital skills. Especially you need to know how to, you don't need to know how to code, but you need to have digital skills. So because of this, there are some universities in Romania, engineering universities, which are preparing engineers in this domain. There are some master programs and PhD programs regarding this subject. Also, there are, we at the institute, we have a center in which we form new new experts for this
New
domain.
digital farmers, right?
New digital farmers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now that is much more clear. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed being at the Science Hub. And I hope that everybody right now has a better understanding about what digital means and what smart agriculture 4.0 revolution is about. My name is Marian Bănică, and you enjoyed Science Hub.